This drink, I like it.
I know, it's great, right?
Another!
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of Film on Tap, where we've got the tap that never runs out. I'm Tom. As always, I am joined by my co-hosts Nancy and Andres. How are you guys on this fine Sunday?
Raiders. Just kidding.
We're there.
Sports. It's before the game, as you can tell, because I'm still in a good mood.
And that your voice isn't hoarse?
Yeah, exactly.
And that the Raiders haven't lost.
Yeah, exactly.
You
You can't even talk shit. You don't even watch football. Get out of here. You can only
take
talk.
a sip of your fucking Tron cup.
Yeah, you can only talk shit
I'm
when
all
you
good.
watch football.
Why don't you show the viewers your Tron cup?
Yeah, this is the biggest loss I'm going to
Oh
face.
my God.
It looks
so huge.
awful.
Yeah.
That's all I
But it
know.
lights up.
Of course it lights up.
Okay.
But it lights up, so that's what makes up for it.
Right.
Even though like when you go to the movie theaters, the cup is so wide, it doesn't fit in the stupid fucking little
Yeah,
thing.
because it's not a
So
circle.
you have to put it on the floor.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I
We
mean,
learned this in elementary school. That is
look,
what
you
fits
know,
into a
you're
circle.
loved for you, warts and all.
Well, Tom, you gave me hope because you said that the movie was great, and then I walked out and I was like, man, that was all kinds of not great.
Well, to each their own, man, because I've heard from a lot of people who enjoyed it just as much as I did, so I feel pretty validated.
You know what? I wish I could have that. I so desperately wish I could have that because I love Tron, but oh goodness.
I haven't seen
Anyway,
We're not here to talk about Tron.
So today we don't really have a huge show. We've got a couple things to talk about, but if anything, it'll give us more time to talk about our main movie event. So we're going to be jumping into one big trailer that hit in the past couple of weeks, which I'm really excited to talk about. And we're going to be talking about The Black Phone 2, or now it's Black Phone 2. They kind of switched it up after the first one. Yeah, they took out the
just
the. It's cleaner.
It's
cleaner.
another Black Phone.
Yeah,
There you go.
exactly. So we're going to be diving into that one, which I'm really excited for as well. But let's talk about this first trailer. So this is Send Help, which is coming to us from director Sam Raimi. So this is a Sam Raimi film, which I'm always excited for because he's just such an exciting filmmaker and a fun filmmaker. And it stars Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien. And essentially, the main premise is that McAdams works for O'Brien's character, who's pretty much a douchebag in every way, shape, or form. And then the two of them get stranded on an island some way, somehow. And like she's, trying to look out for herself and him in a way. But the power dynamics have drastically changed, to say the least. So let's talk about this trailer. What did you guys think about this one, Nancy? We'll start with you.
Oh, I think this was great. Come on, who doesn't love a like revenge against their boss story, especially like a really shitty boss? And I love this for Rachel McAdams. I don't think I've personally seen her in a horror film. I don't think she's been in a horror film. If she has, I haven't seen it. But
You haven't seen Red Eye?
That's not a horror
That's
movie.
not a horror film.
That's a thriller.
It's thriller. Get
That's
out
not
of
a
here.
horror movie.
It's not a horror film. She's great in it. I love it. But it's not a horror film. And maybe this you consider more thriller as well. But, I love that she goes from her little mousy, like scared character in the beginning to this badass on the island. And, she's the one that is actually in charge and saving him. And then you see flashes in the trailer of things starting to unravel. So this looks really exciting. It's like a splash of, I don't know, Red Eye, I guess, if you want to go that way, meets.
There is a plane.
Yeah, there is a plane. Meets freaking. Why can't I think of it? The
Castaway?
Tom Hanks movie. Yes, thank you, Castaway.
I
It's
knew
like
you
a
were going there.
thriller version of Castaway, and it looks great. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one.
Andres?
Yeah. I had no idea what I was expecting with this trailer, and the second that it goes into the aspect of the boss and Rachel McAdams in terms of her plight, and it almost seems like her boss is just looking for ways to just kind of get under her skin just for the sheer hell of it. And, I've dealt with bosses like that as well. But the second that it turns into a plane crash scenario and Rachel McAdams becomes this sort of hunter-gatherer sense type of person who is more than capable of taking care of herself in a really bad situation when this boss really doesn't have any of the survival skills necessary to even make it out in a very dire scenario, and seeing that power dynamic switch between the two is just so great. And the fact that it is Sam Raimi directing, he's always had a really great sense of humor about these type of things. So I'm very looking forward to seeing what type of direction he will go into the story with. And then also on top of that, I mean, I know a lot of people don't really pay attention to the writers, but the writers behind this movie is Mark Swift and Damian Shannon. And a big thing that they've done previously is that they've written Freddy vs. Jason. They've written the Friday the 13th remake. So all those horror movies in particular are very great in terms of balancing their tone, even with a very ridiculous thing.
All those 2 horror movies.
No, I feel give me hope about it.
Well, Freddy vs. Jason was pretty good in terms of like there were some pretty funny moments in that.
Yeah, but in terms of Freddy vs. Jason, like that is one of those things where they are taking the mythology of 9 movies previously for Freddy and taking mythology for over 13 movies for Jason and trying to mesh the two in a way that is very cohesive, and seeing all those scripts that that not them personally that they developed, but the long development hell of Freddy vs. Jason, that movie should not have been even half as good as what it turned out to be. And it's actually still to this day a fun movie. And the Friday the 13th remake, I thought did a great job in terms of rebooting the character and in terms of giving us a movie that is actually frightening and scary at points, and actually does take all the things that we love about Jason and all the things that we love about the Friday franchise and shoehorning them into one movie that is very concise. Again, I'm using the word concise because a lot of this stuff should not make sense. And I feel that this is sort of the same case that we have right here, where you're kind of fitting 2 movies that shouldn't fit together. And at least in the trailer so far, it's given me a lot of hope. And I think we're going to be in for a really fun horror movie come January. So I'm absolutely on board for this movie.
Horror in January. It's like Christmas in June.
Yeah, you know how it goes. I'm super in for this one. Like, I mean, I love Sam Raimi as a filmmaker. I think it's nice to see him do his own thing after doing a Marvel movie where he was definitely hindered creatively. So I think that this is right up his alley. I just love the meshing of genres here. It definitely feels like a fresh concept. You know, I feel like we've never seen a movie quite like this before. It even has like a dash of misery in there. Like it kind of almost feels like that in a way. So it seems like it's going to be a really fun time. Dylan O'Brien looks fucking pitch perfect here. Like I love that he's been getting more roles lately. And McAdams, I feel like I've never seen her channel a performance like this before. So this is really exciting to see her tackle something like this. And I just feel like this is going to be like one of those like wildly kind of unpredictable movies in like a really fun way. And January releases have a tendency to either be really bad or really good. Like sometimes it's actually a really good thing when a horror movie hits theaters in January, and sometimes it's a really bad thing. So it's just this one, I feel like it could go a lot of different directions. But with Sam Raimi at the helm, with these 2 great actors at the forefront here, like I think we're in for a good time, and I will see anything Sam Raimi. So I'm really excited for this one. But speaking of horror, we're going to be talking about our main event today, which I'm very, very excited to talk about, which is Black Phone 2, which is a sequel I honestly didn't think we A, needed, or B, would ever get, but yet here we are. And in Black Phone 2, we are reunited with Finney and Gwen, who are just kind of reeling from the events of the first film. They're trying to get back to a sense of normalcy, but then they get called to this lake, this icy lake, where apparently these children have been murdered, and Gwen's been seeing visions of them and them trying to get her to help them. And then Finney goes along for the ride to protect his sister, but then not only are there children trying to get help, but apparently the grabber is back from the dead to haunt them some more. So we have our sequel here. I had my expectations going into it. I really wasn't sure if this was going to work, even though I thought it looked great. Definitely seemed like it was channeling its Nightmare on Elm Street for this sequel. But like, what were your expectations going into this one? Like, were you excited for it? Were you really like hesitant because you felt like the first one was maybe a great one and done? What are your thoughts? Anybody?
I'll go first.
Anyway.
I went first last time. You can go.
There we go. Yeah, I was very trepidatious about the sequel because it's Blumhouse, and Blumhouse to me has kind of the quality in terms of Blumhouse movies has really gone downhill and has really turned into they sort of have become the studio that I feared they were going to become way back when, the day where everything is just about get an IP, try to establish it, crank out a sequel, no matter even if it's terrible or if it's good, whatever. If it just so happens to be good, that's just a win. So I felt with the original, The Black Phone, I felt that the original was a great one and done, and I thought it was really effective in the story that they told. And knowing that they were going to go into a sequel with this kind of rubbed me the wrong way, if that makes sense. And I will say, having seen the movie and seen exactly what Scott Derrickson and Robert Cargill have put together in terms of the screenplay and in terms of the direction, I would say I was actually pleasantly surprised. I mean, for me, myself, I think the team work really well to deliver an appropriately terrifying sequel, but also on top of that, a sequel that surprisingly enough actually finds inventive ways to expand on the mythology of the original and actually do things and give context for certain things that happen in the original that doesn't necessarily betray the audience or doesn't necessarily make the film even lesser so in the original. And the change of pace from it being a pure on ghost story and setting it in the snowy alpine lake, in the campsite, it feels like a great mashup of like Nightmare on Elm Street mixed in with a little bit of Friday the 13th in there. And suffice it to say, I really enjoyed this movie quite a bit. And I thought it was a lot of fun. I will say I had probably the worst experience in a theater in a long time seeing this movie. There was a whole row full of middle schoolers that just would not stop talking and would not stop pulling out their phones and would not stop just it was probably one of the worst experiences I've ever had in the theater, but it's one of those things.
Didn't that just happen recently? Was that you, Tom? I feel like one of you recently said the same thing of like someone was just on their phone the whole time.
I don't think it was me.
Oh, maybe it was you.
You know what? It was probably me, and it was for 28 years later. Yeah, but
I feel like I've heard this before. Oh man. I think you just have bad movie experiences.
Yeah, I just have bad opening day experiences, especially with freaking kids. I mean, again, the decorum for how people are in theaters now is just slowly dying now. So, that's what it is. But all that aside, I really enjoyed the film, and I thought it was a great successor to the original. However, having said that, I don't want to see a third film. I think second film is good, and I think don't tarnish what you have unless the writers and the director themselves actually have a great story for the third one, which is exactly the case of what happened with this. Whereas like Blumhouse basically just said, we're making a sequel whether you're on board or not. And, they went to Joe Hill and they asked him, do you have any ideas for a sequel? And he apparently had this just lying around. So if it's something that comes very organically and it comes from the creators themselves, I'd be a little more curious to see it. But as of right now, I think 2 is good, and I think just end it there.
All right, Nancy.
I'm just laughing because you're like, absolutely no sequel unless they do a good job, like they did in this case.
Unless it comes from anybody but Blumhouse. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, that's a little bit more straightforward. Yeah, I was in the same boat in the sense of I did not want a sequel. I thought the first one was great. The first one actually is one of my favorite horror films of all time now. I've rewatched it probably about 4 times, and it still holds up. I still love it every single time I watch it. I think the writing is great. I love the ending. It's very satisfying, especially with that last line of like Finney's arm is mint. So yeah, I was skeptical. I didn't want a sequel. And I also knew that they would have to go more into the supernatural, obviously because he's dead. So we're not going to have it grounded in reality like we did in the first one. So when I finally got a chance to watch it, I was pleasantly surprised. I think they did a fantastic job with this. The acting between Finney and Gwen is still just as good as the first one. Oh my gosh, there's this one specific scene that I think they did tremendous on, and I really, really liked it. I love that they kept the character growth. One of my biggest fears was that the dad was going to backslide, and because you see that a lot in sequels of like, all right, we got a sequel, we need some drama still, we need that conflict. Let's have dad go back to being like an alcoholic and a jerk and how he, used to be. And you actually get the flip of that where now Finney is kind of being this jerk and, this moody teenager who has PTSD clearly and isn't dealing with it well. And he's not the same Finney that we had in the first one. And so I think there was a lot of good stuff there. There were only like a few things here and there where I was like, I don't know if I particularly like the way they went with that. They kind of retcon-ish something from the first one, which we'll get into. And again, I don't know how I feel about it, but overall, I think this was really good. The horror and the goriness of this movie was definitely amped up from the first one. I was very surprised about certain scenes that we saw, and again, we can go into it in more detail later. And I think it definitely helped move this movie a little bit more from what the first one was. So overall, I had a really good experience. I really like this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I did not want this sequel. I mean, I genuinely thought the first one was a great one and done, self-contained story. But then when I heard that Derrickson and Cargill were coming back, I was like, okay, let's give them a shot because these two work so well together. And once seeing those trailers kind of channel like a Nightmare on Elm Street in a lot of ways, and taking this franchise more so into the supernatural, I was like, okay, let them cook. I was like, this could be pretty good. And I have to say, I was really surprised by how good this movie was and how effective it is as a sequel. I think it does everything that a horror sequel should do. I think it maintains what you loved about that first film while also like expanding the lore and mythology, making things a little bit more emotional, amping up the stakes a little bit more. I think it just does all the sequel things right. And I think it sidesteps a lot of sequel-itis that I feel like a lot of horror sequels and just sequels in general suffer from. But I really felt like this one was more emotionally engaging, I think, than the first film, which the first film, don't get me wrong, definitely you feel for Finney and you want him to defeat the grabber and get out of this trap. But I feel like more so in this one, the characters of Finney and especially Gwen, who gets a far more substantial role in this film, and Madeline McGraw, who plays Gwen, is absolutely incredible in this movie. I feel like their respective stories are given the spotlight I think they deserve. I think their characters are fleshed out way more here. And I really just got more attached to them than I think I did in the first film, which was really great. And just the way they intertwine the grabber story with this central mystery taking place at this lake, I think is really well done. And I think it the way they bring the grabber back, through the supernatural is really fun and really visceral. I mean, it's definitely a gorier film, like Nancy said, but I think it's not like gimmicky. I think it earns its R rating, and I think it really shows the horror of what Gwen's experiencing in these visions of hers. And I just found this just to be a really stellar and really well-made sequel that honestly, in a lot of ways, in my opinion, I think is better than the first film. I think it's more exciting. I think it's more emotionally engaging. I think the performances are better. I think the writing's a little bit tighter, at least for me. And yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I have like minor issues with it, but I really enjoyed the sequel. So now we're going to jump into spoiler territory. So if you haven't seen the movie, you're going to want to stop listening to or watching this episode because we're going to be talking spoilers. So we don't want to spoil it for you, but we're giving you a warning. So you've been warned. Now let's dive in.
Come back.
But yeah, come back after you watch it.
You just told everyone to leave.
Or if you don't give a shit about getting spoiled, you can continue listening or watching, whatever you want to do.
All of the above.
Yeah.
But yeah, like what are some things like we really dug about this movie? Like what were some things that really stood out to you? Let's start with you, Nancy.
Like I said, at the one particular scene where the dad shows up, I feel like it was Gwen's chance to finally get off her chest all the things she's kind of been holding in.
That was great.
And especially from the first one, like you said, she is a little bit more of a side character, even though she's crucial to finding, the house and everything. We just get splashes of her, even though like I love her character in the first one, just like her mouth of like swearing is just hilarious.
And this one's even better.
And this one is just like constant. My favorite line that she says is like, we should get fucked with a dinosaur dick. And that was like, I was like, I'm using that. That's my new insult. But no, that particular scene, like I said, she gets so much stuff off her chest of, not only with Finney, how, he's smoking pot now, which I think is still hilarious, because it's the 70s. It's like, oh no, he's smoking pot. It's so horrible. Yes, as a teenager, not great. But, we know now pot's not that bad. Anyways, so she was like, you're numbing yourself. You're doing exactly what our dad did with alcohol. You're not facing what happened to you down there, and you're just completely ignoring it and numbing yourself and making that parallel to their dad. And then she actually does bring up the fact, she's like, what, you're going to beat me with a belt again? And that's something we kind of bypassed in the first one. You know, at the end, we see his apology, but we don't really see that relationship develop. And so I think it was her chance to finally, you know, address it with him, and the acting between them two and going back and forth and having Finney finally break down. I think that was just such a great scene. And like I said, I do love that they didn't have their dad slide back into being an alcoholic and all of that. And
that was
you
a good arc.
you see the growth with all of them, almost in like that one scene. So for me, that was by far my favorite scene of the whole movie.
Yeah, no, I really love that scene, just her calling them out on their shit and just kind of like airing all that out. But also I feel like Mason Thames was like really strong here. And I think it was a nice bounce back for him after How to Train Your Dragon. I was gonna be honest, I watched that movie and I was like, yikes. And I actually forgot there was the same kid who was in Black Phone just because he grew up quite a bit. But I think he's really good here, especially like as he begins to just break down and he's like admitting that like, yes, like I'm terrified, I'm angry, I'm all of these things. I'm not over what happened. Like it was extremely traumatizing, like just for the both of them getting all that stuff off. And I like Nancy said that they didn't have the dad backside. I like that they showed a man who, like, you know, he watches that beer commercial and he's like, if I stay home, I'm 100% going to start drinking. So it's like, I rather go and be with my kids so that I can stay sober and also help them out, which it was a nice change in his character arc set. And Jeremy Davies has been doing so good in that role. Really love him. But I really enjoyed just how emotional this film is. I like how they tie in her mother from the first film and everything that went down with her mother. I thought that was really well done, especially how they have the grabber kind of factor into that, having him actually be the one who killed her because she was onto him, which makes a ton of sense given her abilities. And I loved that whole sequence where the grabber's like, I'm doing you a kindness by showing you what really happened, and then I'm going to kill you.
That was pretty funny.
Which I thought was like such a great scene. And I can't say enough good things about Ethan Hawke as the grabber. He's just so fucking good. I love it.
See, that was the thing where I like the scene and I like how it played out, but I still don't know how I feel about them changing the fact that she didn't actually kill herself. I don't dislike it. I don't know if I'm in love with it. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it.
You know, for me in particular, having rewatched the original one as well, I mean, they do talk about the fact that there was, for at least Finney's point of view and everything like that, like their mom was never depressive, or never gave the signs that she was going down that road, and it almost felt like it
mentioned her a lot in the first one. Like all they really mentioned is the dad says like, you're not your mother, and then like, you know, she was seeing things that were like eventually making her do things. So I guess it does leave it open to a lot of things, but like I rewatched it right before the first one, and I don't think they even like really mentioned their mom, other than the fact that like
she had the visions.
Yeah, and we miss her, obviously. But
absolutely. But it felt very much like even if you never saw this sequel, or if the sequel never happened, it doesn't taint anything of what happened with the original for me. And in fact, it actually kind of makes a little more sense why she ended up going down the road that she did, and why certain things have transpired, and why they sort of found her in that way, and how radical it felt to the entire family, where they were like, we didn't see any of the signs at all. I mean, you could either have it go either way, but I feel that normally whenever they do a retcon like this with a sequel, I normally hate it, but I think this one really does a really great job in terms of balancing out some of the stuff that has been established previously. And it's just a nice little addition, as opposed to it changes everything drastically type of thing, if that makes sense. Yeah. But I do love that it does sort of come back around when they finally hear her mom's voice on the phone at the very end, and how that all wraps up together. And then just her, the last thing she tells both of her kids is, go easy on your father. He's trying. And that to me felt like, again, wrapping up all the character arcs from the original film and also wrapping up their dad as, he was a terrible alcoholic in the original. And then this one, I mean, I couldn't help but there were just certain moments in this movie where, having had an alcoholic father myself and seeing how much work it really takes, and then seeing how much Finney and his sister really kind of don't trust what is going on. And they're like, oh, you're just going to backslide and all that other stuff. And having been on that other side before and seeing just the trust that has to be earned in both ways, and seeing how that is paid off in this film, and how to a certain extent it is very realistic in terms of how you earn that trust back and forth. And I just thought it was really well done, and I thought it was really touching. So that was probably one of my favorite elements. But one of my other favorite elements of the movie as well too, I mean, I just think the location of Alpine Lake is
so much better.
Amazing. I thought it was great in terms of just the thing where it's like, they present the idea of, do you know what burns more than the cold? And I'm like, oh, that's an amazing little quote right there from The Grabber. But I thought it was really great in terms of, like I said before, really kind of giving us a different flavor of the movie, but also in terms of the fact that there is a blizzard that comes in, it really does trap the characters until the dad shows up and goes, hey guys, I brought a snowplow with me, and you guys want to leave? And then it's by that point that they're like, we can't just leave because this thing is going to keep coming after us and we need to do something about it. So I thought it was really great in terms of isolating them in the very beginning. And then also in terms of showing us that there is a way out, but you know what? They're not taking it. They're facing everything as they should. I thought that was a really great thematic element to add in there as well.
Anyways. Gwen is anyways. Because it wasn't even about like it would keep going, which I'm sure he would. But for her, it was more like we need to get these kids out. And I don't care, if I'm in danger, I'm going to stay. So I thought, I think that was really cool. The setting is great, especially with all the storm stuff and being in the snow, and, the Grabber apparently being a super cool ice hockey guy that can skate really well. You learn so much about the Grabber this season.
I like that they
cool.
I see the thing that I feel like that was surprisingly effective is like they flesh out the Grabber's backstory, but it feels like it doesn't like ruin the character, where it doesn't feel like it ruins like the kind of mystique that was around him, because I feel like it really naturally interweaves with the story, where it feels like, okay, it's not just like the Grabber's back for no reason. Like there's a reason why he's showing up at this lake. Like there's a reason why he's factoring into the story. And I feel like they integrate his story with, the central mystery that Gwen is trying to solve, like really, really well, and learning about his backstory and like, his first victims essentially, and like what he was doing, like was really horrifying, but also like really effective storytelling. And also I really have to say, I loved the sound design and visual aesthetic for this movie in particular. Like I know they had like that vintage style aesthetic in that first film, but I feel like they use more of it here, but it's way more effective, where anytime Gwen has one of her visions, it kind of slips into this like super 8mm visual aesthetic where like you immediately know you're in one of her visions. And the way that the film like slowly gets out of those visions in terms of like the visual aesthetic and the sound design, I think is so effective, because sometimes you don't know whether you're in her vision or in the real world, and the way it kind of blurs those worlds, I think is really well done. And I've really got to give kudos to that, because I thought that was such an immersive way of like showing her abilities and also showing the horrifying nature of them. So that was really cool. And also seeing her master her power in her dreams, fucking sick, dude.
It's
fucking sick.
It's especially in that very moment where they're trying to rescue, oh my goodness, Damian Bashir's character.
He's an MVP in this movie, by the way.
Oh, I loved his character.
I thought he was great.
Mondo?
Yes,
okay.
Mondo.
Okay.
Yeah, I loved his character.
I think so.
It's Mondo. Really, and I love his moment with Finney where he's outside on the lake, and then all of a sudden he's like, so, you smoking? Can I get ahead of that? He's like, some weak ass shit.
That's not even what happened. First of all, he doesn't smoke it. He smells. He's about to leave, and he takes it back and smells it. He's like, "I'm taking this."
Yeah, this isn't even good shit.
Yeah, he's even good shit. I'm saving you, and then takes it. But yeah, no, his character was really good. I will say the only thing like I didn't like was, and I don't like this in any movie, to be honest, is where it's kind of like, oh, you had the power in you all along. And that's kind of what happened with Gwen when she finally, like, I don't know, I think she like explodes the phone
That
booth
was
or
sick, though.
something. Yeah, visually, yeah, it was cool, but it was also like, oh no, I have power too in my dream. It's like, yeah, you probably could have figured that out a little earlier.
Well, she had to overcome her fear
Yeah.
first. You know,
I don't
just imagine
know.
yourself like witnessing all those horrific things in your dream, getting attacked in your dreams, and then you're going to say you immediately have power in your dreams. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel
I
like
would.
I feel like it takes time.
I would.
Yeah,
I would.
And I thought that was really effective.
Plus, also keep in mind she is like what? She's like 15 or 16. Like she's still a kid.
I think so, yeah. But
Because in the original, Finney was just a 12-year-old or so, and like now he like
oh, so then he would be 15 because it's 3 years later.
is it 3? I thought it was 4. Anyway, but yeah,
What
it's
is
1
time?
year later.
What is
1
time?
year off. My point is, if he was 12, he's probably about 15, 16, where she was probably about like 13 here.
yeah. So she's still young, and she's still this I feel is more of her coming into her abilities in the same way that Finney did in the original, where they do have drastically different power sets, if that makes sense, where Finney, he can hear sort of otherworldly things, especially when it comes to the phone. But then with her, she has the visions at night. And I think both of those, they complement really well with each other. And also with the fact that we get the sense that the mom sort of had both of them as well. So it's sort of like that cool, like, they're two pieces that fit together really well. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. Well,
But yeah.
also too, I'm so dumb. I rewatched the first one and I was like, oh yeah, he could probably hear it because of his mom. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
why I just thought like, I don't know, like they kept trying and like it's just part of the movie. Like, I don't know why I didn't connect the dots of like, oh yeah, he probably has that ability because of his mom. My bad. It makes more sense now.
There you
It
go.
clicks. It clicks.
It works. But to go on a couple of the things that I didn't necessarily love about this movie either. I will say I think the dialogue can be a little rough at times, and it feels like it needed a second pass, because I felt like that first movie was so clean and so concise and so knew exactly what it wanted to do. And I think that this one, it was a little bit rough, and it was a little unfinished at points. A lot of exposition that needed to be kind of trimmed down. Then also, especially on that front, I think certain moments came off unintentionally funny when they were supposed to be terrifying. Like, what? Here's the thing. Sadly enough, it involves a scene where Gwen is getting woken up by the grabber, and the grabber's like spinning her in the thing.
You thought that was funny?
I didn't think that was funny.
I thought
I didn't think that was funny.
Did your theater laugh?
Yeah, our entire theater laughed when she was.
Oh, that's
spinning.
because they were full of junior high kids.
Yeah.
No, but it was just one of those things where we're like, I could so imagine Scary Movie 6 parodying that scene where she's getting spun around. But I mean, not necessarily from the point of view where it was in the cabin. Like in the cabin, it looked horrifying. But then when you cut to her in the phone booth, and she's just like doing like this like Tasmanian devil thing, that kind of looked hilarious, guys. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't know. I think you're fucked up. I don't know. I wasn't laughing during that scene.
I also was confused because I was like, did he just slit her throat? Where's this all this blood coming from? And they realized, it's her arm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's her arm. But and I will say the other thing too is I kind of felt that, sadly enough, the actress who played Gwen at certain points that like there were certain points where I felt like, to me, she was trying a little too hard to be emotional, and it sort of robbed the audience of that moment of like feeling what she's feeling in certain points. And I kind of felt like she might have played it a little too over the top. You can disagree.
Like which scene? Tell me specifics.
I mean, for me, the ending as well too, where she's just like hyperventilating and she's just like, I was like, okay, all right, maybe take it down just a little bit so that.
What was that?
At the very end, when she was on the phone with her mom, like, again, it was a great moment.
She was just crying like a normal human.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Rewatch it.
Give it a second pass.
I'll give it a second pass, but I kind of felt like certain characters, especially, they kind of went a little over the top with certain things. And whereas when you compare it to the original, it was so grounded, and the actor who plays Finney, I forget what his name is.
Mason Thames.
Yeah, Mason Tate. Like I
He's so
thought,
excited.
I thought he did a great job in terms of underplaying certain moments that allowed the audience to sort of fill in the blanks for us. And I felt that that was a little more of a stronger performance, where I kind of felt like this one, even though he was still good, there were still moments where like it felt like he was trying to channel that, like, that Nicolas Cageism of like, I'm dealing with all this bullshit right now. And like, I don't know. I kind of felt like certain moments were a little too over the top, and it kind of felt a little, it kind of felt radically different than what had happened in the original, and, or at least the tone in the original for myself. So that kind of shaved off a little bit of points for me. But again, minor nitpicks at the very best from me for this movie. And, you know, again, overall, I think it's a very strong movie, but it is,
So
is it a perfect? I don't think so.
So I think for me, especially again, watching the first one right before the second one, yes, I do agree. There were some times with the actor who played Finney, he was trying, there were moments where he was trying to be like really mad or really angry or really like dark, and that was a touch too much.
Yes.
But in terms of when he's talking to Gwen, he does have that breakdown moment. It was very reminiscent of when he's in the basement with a grabber and he finally breaks down and starts crying. Like that's what it reminded me of, and that's why I really like that scene. And so for me, that portion was over the top. And again, when you see the scene in the first one with Gwen when her dad is beating her with a belt, like it's she, the way she's emotional with that is very, to me, very similar how she's emotional in this one. So that's why it doesn't feel over the top for me, because we've seen her get to that point, especially when she thinks she's going crazy, like she doesn't know what's happening, because before they were just dreams. Now they're dreams where she's actually getting burned and, you know, physically hurt. So that's why I think for me, it doesn't seem very over the top. I think it seems very on par with moments we had in the first one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a perfect movie by any stretch, but I did think that it expands and I think enhances the world and those characters in ways that like I really enjoyed. And I just feel like overall, I think it's a stronger film than the first film, because I also rewatched the first movie before seeing this one because I just wanted to refresh myself with the story and whatnot. And I do feel like it's also paced better. I think it's just a little bit more exciting. I think it's just more engaging for me. I like that it had I think just a more interesting central mystery, especially the way that it handled the mystery of those kids and also the backstory of the grabber. It kind of felt like two faceted in a way that was really fun and like interesting and kept me, you know, really invested throughout. And the performances, I think, across the board are just stronger than in the first film. And I'm with Andres in this one. I don't want a third film, but I'll take it a step further. We're saying like, I don't care if it's the same team. I don't want another one. Like,
Same.
I feel like it's perfect here. Like this kind of feels like it's not exactly the same, but I kind of feel similarly about this one, like I did Toy Story 4. Let's put it that way.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Where I feel like Toy Story 3 felt like the perfect ending, and then when they announced Toy Story 4, I was like, but fucking why? And then I saw 4, and I was like, you know what? That was like a really good, you know, follow up where I feel like it wrapped up something I didn't know I needed wrapped up, and it was really emotionally satisfying. Granted, they're fucking making a 5th one, so they kind of like, so you know, so. But I'm just saying, I feel like it feels similar in that way, where like it's not a sequel I wanted, but it's a sequel I surprisingly really, really enjoyed. But absolutely, I don't want another one. Like I really just don't think we need another story. I mean, they clearly could make a third one with, you know, now the grabber's like frozen in ice, he could just thaw, you know, or whatever. You know, like I'm sure there's some way he'll come back if they wanted to. But like honestly,
I hope to God they don't go down the route of like being like, have it be a prequel that takes place that's following from the mom's point of view. And I'm like, nope, just
no. I mean,
just leave it alone.
Even Hawk apparently said recently that like he wants to take the grabber like to hell itself or something. I was like, okay, but I was like, I still don't need it. I still don't need it. So like as a fan of that first film, I was really pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed this one. And I'm perfectly okay with them just ending things here. Just like end on a high note, guys. Like just end on a high, wrap up the story when you need it to.
Use the actress who plays Gwen and put him in other horror stuff. Put him in like new things because she's so good. And I don't think between the first one and the second one, I saw her in anything else. I don't know if you guys did, but like get her some other roles. Like she's really good.
Yeah. I mean, Mason Thames is blown up, so.
Yeah, but I will say I think he is much stronger in this movie than he was in the original, and then the other, but the other thing too is that we talked about How to Train Your Dragon really quick. I think he is much stronger here because in this one he's not basing his performance on something that's already been done. Like it almost felt like
anything's better than that. That's a very low bar.
Yeah,
seriously
compared to,
But yeah, I mean, so out of 5 pints, what would you guys give Black Phone 2?
Oh wait, before we do that, can we talk about stupid Barb? My God.
Barb. Barbara.
Wait, is that the one at the front desk or something?
Yes, the super overly religious one. I thought honestly, they straight up killed her and her husband, I'm assuming, at the end, because you don't really see anything other than like their heads being sliced right here. So I was like, oh no, it's like they just got scalped. So I was surprised that they were actually alive at the end. But I do love the scene between her and Gwen when they're in the office.
Yeah, and
she's clearly trying to hide everything that's happened at this camp, which is so odd to me. So it was a nice way to have like kind of that little mini villain outside of the grabber, and keeps calling her little demon child, unfortunately, which I thought was really funny. But also, another qualm I had with this is someone says in the movie, oh, wouldn't have the police looked in the lake? And they're like, no, it was frozen over. They couldn't look at it. I'm like, there's summertime. You're telling me by summertime they just gave up looking for these kids? They're like, oh, well, we couldn't look in the lake. Well, good luck.
I mean, the other thing too is I'm not sure, they don't necessarily really define it as like this is a camp that gets warmer or anything like that. Like in terms of where it was placed in, I know that there's certain areas in Colorado where the camp is where it's just winter all year round and it doesn't even get warmer. And so like I was kind of thinking that like maybe
it's a lake, wouldn't it be unfrozen at some point?
I don't know.
What is winter?
Yeah, I don't know.
Correct.
I know, but here's the thing: is that like if they were trying to establish somewhere where it is that same climate the entire time, it's I don't think they really defined it, and I'm kind of in the same boat with you, Nancy, where it's like, they should have been able to find these kids at some point if you can
find them with flashlights doing this, then why couldn't the police also do that? That was like.
But I think the other thing too is that they weren't able to scope the lake until they had their dad there with the freaking giant plow, and like I'm sure the police would have probably have done that. But the thing is, especially with police, you need to have probable cause in some way, shape, or form. So it's like.
3 dead kids in a forest.
At
the lake is pretty probable.
The thing is, didn't they also say that the kids went missing and they weren't sure if they were dead?
Because they found the burned pieces of like the kid's jacket.
Oh, that's right,
and like all that stuff. That was another thing. I was surprised we got scenes of him actually killing the kids. That's one thing in movies like that. I don't know. It just freaks me out and gives me the heebie-jeebies. I could watch an adult be murdered like in any horror film, but when they start involving kids, like it just makes me so sick to my stomach. So I was surprised that they added it in there. It very much reminded me of what's the Shining sequel with
Dr. Sleep?
Yes, Dr. Sleep. The scene where they get the kid. That. I cannot handle that scene. So they definitely upped the horror and gore in this. And I was very surprised we got that for the better.
I will say, like in my screening, like they must have had like the volume on like 1000 because literally when I saw it, like I think when the first scare happens, where I think where Gwen's having one of her visions and like the kid like appears underneath the bed out of nowhere, whatever, it hits with such a loud thud that the entire row in front of me, not only did they jump, but like literally one guy was like, Jesus Christ. I was just like,
Nice.
oh my God, like this is gonna be a fun time. Like it was just so fucking loud. I was like, oh my God. But
Yeah.
you know what? That's how you should do it for a horror movie. Like every little fucking thing should scare you. So like it was a really fun theater experience too. But yeah, anything else you guys want to add before we give it the old rating?
Went
No,
off on a
it's okay.
tangent for the
Get it
rating.
home.
Let me see. I think that was it.
Andres,
Stupid
anything?
Nope. All good. I mean, I think we pretty much kind of covered all the bases on that front on this movie. So yeah, I'm ready to give it a rating.
One more. Ruben's brother. Oh, I'm glad that
Oh.
I didn't even know he had a brother, but like, screw it. We didn't know.
Yeah.
I love that they brought him back in and that, you know, he had that little Robin, not Ruben. What a Mexican
Robin.
I just was. What a
Ruben.
Mexican. I just pulled a Mexican move right there. Robin. I love that they had that little connection between them. And at the end, when she's like, tell Finney that Robin says hi, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
so nice. And the kid that plays his brother is so innocent. And I love that throughout the whole time, they're just like, I don't like how he looks at her. Because, you know, it's the first time she's going on a date and stuff. So, yeah, I really liked him. That's cute.
And I love that their first semi-romantic moment is interrupted by Finney going, "You still think she looks hot? You still think that was
No,
that
that's
dude-
not what she says. He says, "And do you think I look beautiful too?"
Oh, yeah,
or
yeah,
something
yeah.
like that. Because he's
Nancy's
saying,
the freaking scene police over here.
sorry. If you're gonna say it, you gotta
That's
get it right.
not what happened. That's not
That
what
is
happened.
Not what happened.
I'm sorry.
That is
it makes a difference.
That's not what happened.
But
yes,
again, keep in mind that we got distracted by all the freaking middle schoolers that were talking all throughout.
Sure.
So
What do you mean we? You got distracted.
You.
me and Jen, like
Okay,
when we both went to go see the movie, like yeah.
All right. Well, I'm sorry.
All right. How about
Watch
on
it
that
again.
note, we give
Give
our
it a
rating?
second pass. Give it a second
Give it a
pass.
second pass, man. Watch it at
Yeah.
home when there's no middle schoolers. You might like it more.
Yeah, maybe I might.
All right. So let's start with you, Andres. What would you give this out of 5 pints? What are we feeling?
What I'm feeling is I think this is a very strong sequel. I think it does some things better than the original, but then it also does certain things that I felt like
Let's see.
the
if I'm
original did a little better. But I will say that overall, for me, this is a solid 3.5 pints.
Nailed it.
Yeah, there you go. like the original for me is a 4, but this one is just slightly below. But it could have been a lot worse, and I think that Derrickson and Cargill, they both knew exactly what they need to do in terms of the execution of this. And also they worked really well with Joe Hill as well. So honestly, everything for the sequel came together in a way that it shouldn't have come, with the stipulation that, hey, Blumhouse is like, hey, we're going to make a sequel whether you guys are in or not. So better come up with something great. And I think they did come up with something that does complement the original film really well. And yeah, I enjoyed this one quite a bit. So yeah, 3.5 pints.
Nancy.
Yeah, I think I'm also going to go with 3.5. It's a very solid movie, very solid sequel. I think, the first one I gave it 4. The tones are very different. I think that's why. And it's honestly purely preference. There's some movies where I write where I'm like, no, I don't care what you're giving the rating. Like, this is what it should be. But yeah, I think the reason being is because the tones are just so different. The first one is grounded in reality, splash of supernatural. And then this one, the supernatural is so amped up, which is a good way not to ruin the first one, honestly. I think that's why it works so well as a sequel. Acting is still great. Again, some of the writing was a little bit iffy for me. The part where she pops up on the ice and says like some scripture to the grabber, like honestly, that came off really cheesy to me. I did not like that line at all. So little moments like that kind of got it for me. But yeah, I think 3.5, solid movie. Would watch it again.
Okay. I'm going to be the big boy here. I'm going to give it 4.5.
4.5?
Yeah.
Jesus. All right.
Yeah, no, dude, I fucking love this movie. Like, I genuinely did. Like if everything for a horror sequel that I love, this one did. I feel like it took everything I liked about that first film and just kind of amped it up. It does have its minor issues, but like I just found myself so invested in the story, so entertained, just so in that like I genuinely just I love this movie. And I think it's crazy though for me that this year I've been looking at my, top 10 on Letterboxd, and the vast majority of the movies that are in my top 10 are horror movies this year. Like it's just genuinely been an amazing year for horror. And this one is just another example of another strong horror film hitting theaters. And it might be crazy to say that in some circles, but I really loved the Black Phone 2. Fucking get rid of
Oh, Black Phone 2.
I really liked Black Phone 2 a lot. And like I said, I'm good with the story ending here. We don't need another one. This was like a perfect way to wrap up the story. And so I really hope we don't get one. But anyway, let us know in the comments below what you thought of the Black. I did again. Let us know what you thought of Black Phone 2. If you've seen it, let us know down below, and definitely let us know what you thought of the trailer for Sam Raimi's Send Help. Let us know that as well. And before we head on out, where can the fine people find you guys on the interwebs? Andres?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram as Galagos. You can also find me on my YouTube channel under Galagos as well too. As I was talking to Tom, I'm creeping up on 1,000 subs. So hey, if you like very random mashups and also a really well done Joker/Superman motion comic, go over on my YouTube page and check it out, because that one is about to break 100 views on it so far. So help us out with that. And also you can find me editing our mutual friend Jindoyan's Cinemojis episode. So we should be having something of that coming out fairly soon. So go ahead and check that out. And then you can also find me here. Oh, and actually, big thing I've been doing recently. Funny thing, I had actually started editing some videos for Film Speak, and I completely forgot that Tom actually writes for Film Speak as well. So currently working on another video as well. We just put out, I just finished putting out a Batman Superman World's Finest dissertation video for our buddy Griffin. And also we just put out a Smashing Machine retrospective and review on that as well. And currently working on Peacemaker Season 2, and it should be releasing at some point this week. So keep an eye on that.
Very exciting. Nancy?
Weird wink at the end, but all right. You find me at PL_Band-Aid on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me here in the comments, of course, and every once in a while over on Cinemojis. That's about it. Okay.
All right. And you guys could find me on Facebook and YouTube at Chattelbash Reviews, Twitter and Instagram at Tom Chattelbash, and T Chattelbash on Letterboxd if that is your thing. As always, thank you for tuning into a brand new episode of the show. Whether you watched it, listened to it, we appreciate you tuning on in, and we will see you next time on Film on Tap, where we've got the tap that never runs out. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Ring, ring.